The Luka Doncic trade looks even better after the Trae Young trade, and JJ Redick's in a much better mood of late. We'll tell you why. The Lakers lose in San Antonio. Who are two pieces you could put around Luka and Reeves for the future that could really change the future of this franchise? Also, lots of Dodgers talk to get into. We've got arbitration deadline day, some deals that went down the afternoon. We're still waiting on one key Dodger to agree to a contract, and Tarik Skubal, you will not believe the asking price for him, and Bichette, a ridiculous contract ask. And who's the next quarterback for the Rams after Matthew Stafford? Could it be Joe Burrow? Could it be the quarterback for the Indiana Hoosiers tonight, Fernando Mendoza? And I can't believe I'm saying this, but it might be time for UCLA to fire Mick Cronin. That's coming up next on the LA Sports Report.
LA is the sports capital of the world. The Lakers have entered their Luka Doncic era. LeBron doesn't just want a farewell tour, he wants a farewell title. The Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. Go, Kings, go. The Dodgers are the best run franchise in all of professional sports. Shohei Ohtani is the GOAT. Steve Ballmer will do anything to get the Clippers a championship. Mick Cronin has to win a national championship at UCLA. Justin Herbert is a top 5 quarterback in this league. College football is just better when USC is good. This whole city has the Mamba mentality. I love LA.
Live from the heart of Los Angeles, this is the LA Sports Report with your host, Doug McCain.
What is up, and welcome to the LA Sports Report. My name is Doug McCain. Friends call me D-Mac. I've covered LA sports for over a decade. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. And welcome to my newest show dedicated to all LA sports. I'm loyal to the soil. If I like a team, they're from LA. You're not going to find me being a Dodgers 49ers fan or a Dodgers Knicks fan or any other combination of teams from any other cities. This show is all about LA sports. It's about the Dodgers, the Lakers, the Rams, the Chargers, UCLA, USC. If they're talking about it in the world of LA sports, we're going to be talking about it here. Also, go Kings go, right? Like we like to say. So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, drop a comment down below. This is a live show. I got producer Big Rob looking for all of your comments throughout the show. We'll feature them later, and there'll be a lot of Dodgers talk on this one, so we will get into that. But let's start with the purple and gold today. Last night, playing without LeBron James, Austin Reeves still out, Rui still out. They lost to the Spurs. We'll talk more about that in a second. But I want to start with the trade that shook up the association last night. Trae Young was traded to the Washington Wizards for a package that really makes you feel that much better about the Lakers deal for Luka Doncic. Now, the specifics of the deal, the Hawks trade away the 4-time All-Star Trae Young to the Wizards for CJ McCollum, Corey Kispert, and basically some cash. Look at the deal that they got done for that. And I think that if you're a Lakers fan, if you're a Los Angeles sports fan that wants stars in the city, today needs to be National Thank the Atlanta Hawks Day, because it's because of the Atlanta Hawks and their decision to make that 2018 draft night trade with the Dallas Mavericks that sent Luka Doncic, the 3rd overall pick, to the Atlanta Hawks, and they end up getting Trae Young, who was the 5th pick, and a protected 2019 first-round pick that ultimately became Cam Reddish. So think about that trade right there. The Hawks had Luka Doncic right there, a 5-time first-team All-NBA, a top 3 to 5 player at worst that is a cornerstone franchise player. They had him right there. If they kept Luka Doncic, he would still be an Atlanta Hawk right now. There's certain players in the NBA, there's certain players around sports where the only time they should ever change teams is by their own accord. It's because they've waited out to free agency and they get their pick and they weren't happy with their organization. And in most cases, it's because that organization did not give them a chance to compete at the highest level, did not give them a chance to win championships. I mean, take your pick, use your examples. Kevin Durant, the Thunder going to the Warriors. Shohei Ohtani, Angels going to the Dodgers. Players like that, players that wanted to win a championship. The only time that Luka Doncic should have been on another team is when he hit free agency after his time with the Atlanta Hawks was probably filled with a lot of first or second round exits, not getting to the NBA Finals. The Hawks aren't a franchise that's been known to be a perennial contender, but instead, the Hawks end up going with Trae Young. Luka Doncic ends up with the Mavericks, takes that team to the NBA Finals, and is now the face of the Los Angeles Lakers. Is the highest vote getter for the All-Star game, has the best-selling jersey, has a bright future in LA where he's going to be playing under a new Guggenheim ownership group that has turned the Dodgers into the best professional franchise in all of professional sports, in my opinion, that have won 3 championships, goes into the summer with a team that has a war chest of assets, 3 first-round picks, getting $53 million off the books in LeBron, lots of cap space to make moves. That is where Luka Doncic is now. And then you look at the Atlanta Hawks. When you look at yesterday's trade and you look at CJ McCollum, you look at Corey Kispert, and you look at the history of that deal, you could basically look back and say that the Hawks basically traded away. Wait for this. The Hawks basically traded away Luka Doncic for Corey Kispert, Cam Reddish, and expiring salary. That is ultimately how that deal is viewed. How crazy is this? Trae Young was traded for Luka Doncic, and that still wasn't even the worst trade that included Luka Doncic. So Luka Doncic has now been a member of 2 of the worst trades in NBA history. I find that to be hilarious. So I want to thank the Atlanta Hawks. I want to thank the Dallas Mavericks and Nico Harrison. And as far as the current Lakers team, it was a rough night in San Antonio. They were hanging with the Spurs for the most part. They were neck and neck first half. They just kind of ran out of gas. And Luka Doncic, you could see the free throw line, some of the legs, and they ended up losing that game. But I noticed after the game that it was a different version of JJ Redick. JJ Redick a couple weeks ago calling out the Lakers, calling out their effort, not happy with the team, noticeably frustrated. And then you had guys in the locker room after games kind of looking like they were on a different page than JJ Redick. And recently JJ has called out some of the Lakers. There was that clip from the practice the other day where JJ Redick is saying that the Lakers' lack of execution on ATOs after timeout plays was questionable and that players are forgetting plays. Guys like Dalton Connect. JJ Redick said, I never missed plays as a player. I never forgot plays. And you got a young player like Dalton Connect who's forgetting plays. Well, it was a different version of JJ Redick. Even after a loss yesterday, JJ Redick, he said that he liked the effort from the guys, that when this Lakers team gets 9 to 10 guys fully healthy, that he thinks they're going to be a great team. So very different vibes coming from JJ Redick. Here was him after the loss last night.
Cliff notes. We've had so many of these games this season. It almost feels normal. I'll coach that level of spirit and toughness and fight and togetherness and connectedness, all that stuff. It was fantastic. We did a lot of really good things, and frankly, the last 6 games outside of maybe a quarter and a half against Detroit have been really good, and they've all been shorthanded, and this is how we're going to have to win, and this is how we're going to have to compete and be in games right now. It's just the reality, and the group has embraced that, and yeah, I'll go to battle with them. The whole group was fantastic tonight. Just a really good fight. I think, one of the two guys that have now stacked like multiple games in a row for us are Jake and Jackson. Speaking of Jackson, and that's exciting, because at some point you assume you're going to be at full health, and I think we're going to eventually be a great basketball team, and to do that you need 9 or 10 guys that are playing high level basketball, and both those guys, really Jake since the first Phoenix game, Jackson of late, he's now stacked 3, 4, 5 games in a row, where he's played great on both ends, and that's been really big for us.
So really great to see Luka Doncic and the rest of his Lakers team go out there and put forth a great effort, and an undermanned team against a really good San Antonio Spurs team. We got Victor Wembanyama coming off the minutes restriction, much better night for that Spurs team. But the talk last night was still about Luka Doncic and the Trae Young trade and how they've been linked. And last night, Luka put together what for most players would be a career game. It feels like it's just another day at the offense for Luka. He ends up getting 38 points, 10 rebounds, 10 dimes, 3 steals, did have those 7 turnovers, went 13 for 26 from the field, 2 for 9 from beyond the arc. We've talked about Luka's 3-point shooting, the worst it's been since his rookie season, his second year, just the start of his career, shooting. He needs to get to that 35% to 40% range, shooting under that. So he definitely wants to improve upon that number, but still 38, 10 and 10, did everything he could to help them win this game. Fortunately, some of the energy towards the end for the entire team, you kind of saw they ran out of gas. So I think Luka, player grade from last night, still give an A, all things considered. But it was Luka after the game and his comments about Trae Young and his reaction to the trade that really stood out.
I have a league question for you. You came in to the league with Trae Young, traded for one another on draft night. Just before tip-off tonight, he was traded to the Washington Wizards for C.J. McCollum and Corey Kispert.
That's what they were all. That's what they were all.
So I was just curious, your thoughts on that news and this next chapter of his career.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously we came together. We got traded for each other. So, it's been a lot of talk about me and him. But we have a good relationship, a lot of respect for him. So if he's excited for this new journey, I'm excited for him.
Awesome.
So a couple thoughts on Luka Doncic. First of all, just getting to know him for a guy that's playing for your team. It's a whole different experience. You think you know how good players there are. You think you kind of have an understanding about their personality when you're watching from afar. It's totally different when you're watching them compete in every game. You're listening to their post-game press conferences, which I love to do. And it really jumps out at me. First of all, English is his third language. And he has a great command, and he's got the personality. And why is this guy such a warm, lovable dude anytime he's not yelling at the zebras, right? Unless you're wearing a striped shirt, unless you look like you're an employee from Foot Locker, Luka Doncic is going to be the nicest guy in the world to you. And they try to kind of give him the Trae Young bait, where everyone's trying to pin Trae Young against Luka Doncic for all these years. But I don't think there's anything between these guys. I mean, I remember a few years back at the All-Star game where it was USA versus the world, and him and Trae Young are shooting those half-court shots, and they're making those shots. I mean, there's nothing there. Like, it's just mutual respect. I don't think that Luka's like, oh, I'm this all-time great player, and you're just kind of an all-star, and they lost a trade. It's not like Michael Jordan trying to find a chip on his shoulder because he didn't make the high school varsity team. Like, that's not what Luka Doncic is trying to do with Trae Young.
Not at all. I remember that exact video too, where they were rising stars and all stars in the same year. So that alone, they were already kind of on that rise together. But then Luka just went way up. But at the time, they were both really, really good, really, really respected. And I remember even one of my buddies, I was a big Trae Young fan. He was a big Luka fan. And then my buddy was like, see, the media tries to pin them against each other, but they're really good friends.
Exactly. I mean, they try to do that. You're going to look for stories. And people too forget, I'm not a big Trae Young guy. Like, I think I was talking on the phone yesterday. He's like a worse version of James Harden's right? Like, volume shooter, but can get hot, but it's fun. The NBA is an entertainment. You could do worse by having Trae Young be your best player. I think the thing that hurts him is point guards that are undersized, that don't defend, but don't shoot efficiently, are starting to get phased out a little bit. And they're
little guard is almost gone in the NBA. Even someone like a Mike James, who his primary role was
Mike James.
Score, he didn't work out on that Nets team for a reason. It just, you need to be multifaceted in today's NBA.
Absolutely. You have to be, and the game's changing very quickly. We're going to talk about this little breakdown here, by the way. So we'll get Noel back in the mix here. I want to get his thoughts on this. But how about after the game? Jared Vanderbilt kind of has a screw loose. Jared Vanderbilt kind of wants all the smoke. He's about that life after games. Here was Jared Vanderbilt after the game. And you saw during this clip where he's going up to Sohan. You know, they're exchanging words. And then he pokes him right in the cheek. I don't know what he said right there. Did he say, "This is where your dimples are"? And touched it? I don't know what it was. But after the game, Sohan downplayed it. He said that, quote, "I must have said something to him during the game, and maybe it wasn't very nice. He must have taken it the wrong way and told me to see him after the game. So I did, and we just had a polite exchange. I was, I think, intact and very joyful, and the other person wasn't." Yeah, he just wasn't emotionally stable in that moment. So it's something he has to work on. It's just life. Okay, first of all, why is dude trying to gaslight Jared Vanderbilt? Like, that's gaslighting right there. The next time these two play, I'm like, oh, emotionally stable? Boom, here's a right hook. I mean, like, those to me are pretty antagonizing words, Noel. I mean, what do you think?
Definitely antagonizing words. He's smart because he's trying to make it seem like he's the bigger guy. Like, oh, I was just having fun. My spirits were high. When clearly Sohan has gotten into a couple of these throughout the years. He's gotten into it with Ja Morant. He's gotten into it with KD. And here's the thing. Jeremy Sohan is not who he used to be. You remember Wemby's rookie year? They had him at point guard. Wemby would be wide open under the basket. He wouldn't hit him. I think Sohan is just kind of trying to, and like you said, antagonize other players that are going through a rough patch. Jared Vanderbilt, he's gone through a bunch of DMPs. He's already a pretty hot-headed guy, so he's looking for anything. And I think he just took that moment like, bro, like, just don't mess with me right now. It's not a good time.
You're right. I think that's a fantastic point. He's not first-team All-NBA. He's first-team All-Pest. Like, exactly. He comes from the Raja Bell, the Ron Artest, the Pat Beverly school of trying to start something, but that's rage bait for Vando. Like, if Vando's a guy that can get to. I think, of course, the king of that right now has to be Dylan Brooks, right? But it almost reminds me of one of those players like a Rudy Gobert, right? Like knowing that even Dennis Rodman was the same with Karl Malone, like way back in the days. Like, they know they're trying to get a rise out of you. My whole thing is like, I mean, if you're not on the court doing it, I mean, after the game kind of was that dude. But yeah, I don't know. Do you think that Vando wants that? Like, wants the smoke? I mean,
out of in this current NBA where you even have players saying like nobody's going to swing, I think Vando is one of the few players that would swing. We've seen it alone this season. Every time he's on the court, Rob, you probably test this, watched a lot of Laker games. Yeah. Vando will find any excuse to get into it with someone.
No, absolutely. I mean, he looks for it. He almost thinks. I think for Vando, he's a guy where if there's like in-game frustration and he's not happy with like his performance, like, you're more likely to kind of get in on it with him. But hey, here's my thing about this. Like, the NBA needs more of this, but during games.
Exactly.
Like don't say it for athletes. Like they were like Billy Mack and Stu Lance. They're trying to like wrap up the broadcast and they had to like cut to, wait, there's something going on in the court.
They had to cut to their secret camera to get it. I always love when they do that.
Yeah. Where'd that footage come from? Was that a phone?
It kind of reminds me of that secret camera they brought out when LeBron got fouled. And they had to go to the sky one. Sometimes I feel like they just have like a camera hidden on like the scorer's table or something.
Yeah, I think so too. It's like, it's funny we're in this day and age where like an iPhone shot is like more interesting than the 4K $1 billion cameras they're using.
You need the 9x16 angle.
That 9x16 just goes hard. It tells like a different story. I totally agree. Now, getting back to yesterday's game, we always do player grades. We'll run through it really quick because I do want to talk some more Deandre Ayton, because I think we're gonna have to do a new segment on the show called Fraud Watch. And it's not because I'm looking at his history of having a reputation for not being a high effort player when you expect him to be one. But look at this moment from Deandre Ayton yesterday.
Some will call it a dagger to win that game. It was pretty special, reminiscent of a shot Kobe had in his career. That one tried to get out, but settled in.
And Champagne that time off to dribble right in front of Deandre Ayton.
The Lakers almost doubled up already in this one. Deandre Ayton kick it right back to nobody.
Well, the official
what is Bro doing?
Doesn't have
Bro just had consecutive back-to-back Shaq in a full moments. That's impressive to do it defensively and offensively on back-to-back possessions like that. And it doesn't look like Ayton's beating the allegations. It doesn't look like Deandre Ayton is beating the effort allegations. It looks like his mind is somewhere else for stretches during a game. And for a guy whose team essentially paid to have him gone and was able to eat money to make sure that he was gone, he needs to be on his best behavior. And other teams around the league that are looking for big men are going to look at this and say, man, Deandre Ayton, when he's locked the F in, he's going to go out there and ball out. He's going to be a guy that can give you 15 to 20 points, 8 to 12 rebounds, block some shots, use it in the pick and roll, use it in the pocket, make a couple dunks and layups at the rim. Just be a steady force down low. But then you look at stuff like this, and you're like, hey, what am I getting myself into? Imagine what he looks like on a bad team, let alone a Lakers team where there's all the pressure in the world. You got LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, JJ Redick, knowing that you want to put yourself in a good spot to get a new deal. And yesterday, Deandre Ayton, 29 minutes, 9 points, 6 boards, 1 assist, 1 block, 1 turnover, 2 fouls, 4 of 9 from the free throw line. Those are deep bench substitute numbers. Those aren't starting center numbers, especially in a game where LeBron James and Austin Reeves aren't playing. You got to step up. This is your time to show that you can be someone that you can play around a star and that it doesn't matter who's in the lineup. You can have success and be effective, but he just does not impact the game when he's supposed to. Last night, he was non-existent at times. He was out there getting cardio, and you can't have that if you're DeAndre Ayton from the Lakers' point of view or his point of view. Not establishing himself inside, not slowing down any of the Spurs bigs. What do the Spurs bigs think when they see DeAndre Ayton? Their eyes light up. They know they're getting buckets. They know they're drawing fouls. They know that something good's going to happen. And this is becoming a concerning trend because he has really struggled against some of the better front courts, especially the San Antonio Spurs. They play again in February, and I just hate to say this, but sometimes if everyone stinks, you're the one that stinks, right? And DeAndre Ayton's always, it's the Suns, it's the Blazers, it's the opportunity, it's the coaches, the teammates. Listen to what a guy says on media day and listen to what he says towards the All-Star break. The tenor changes, what they're saying changes, and DeAndre Ayton, I give a big fat D last night for his performance. Luka Doncic gets an A, DeAndre Ayton gets a D. Jake LaRavia, it's a big LaRavia household, man, quickly becoming one of my favorite. You know, he's got those favorite Laker role players, right? Jordan Farmar back in the day, so many to talk about. But Jake LaRavia, 16 points, 7 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 turnover, 6 of 13 from the field. One of the few Lakers that really had a positive impact on both sides of the court, but a lot of it was kind of later in the game. He went scoreless to start the game, so you want to see a better performance from him early. But early in that fourth quarter, he kind of gave the Lakers some hope there. And I love the activity and the effort defensively. I expect a better performance from Jake LaRavia. Noel, am I getting a little too ahead of myself on LaRavia? I'm raving about LaRavia, man.
No, rightfully so. Rightfully so. I think he's been the guy that's been willing to step up and actually shoot. My thing with Rui is that when he's on, he's not aggressive. You know, he's camping in the corner. He's not taking the open wing three. He's not attacking the rim. LaRavia feels like when he's in the moment, he wants to be out there contributing. And even in the games where he hasn't shot as well, he's still out there as an option. He's still keeping the defense on their toes, not just kind of waiting around for Luka. So I love what I've seen from LaRavia. I think he fits the Lakers timeline really, really well. And the value of his contract, you have to love what you've seen from him so far.
I agree 100%. I want to see his closet. I want to see the Lakers gear, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I know this guy is loving it. So yeah, I
saw
agree.
He did a day in the life video with Lakers all day, every day. Really good Lakers page out there. And same thing, like it was a little bit before that presser that you played yesterday came out, but he just talked about like the pride of putting on that jersey and going out there and playing for such like a cherished organization. He feels like someone that when he goes out there, he's not thinking about himself. He's thinking about the name on the front of the jersey.
Yeah, we're gonna go to Universal City Walk this weekend, and we're gonna be walking around and be like, dude, why is Jake LaRavia at the new NBA store dropping a bag on Lakers merch? Like, dude, like, you know what I mean? Like,
according to Rob, NBA players, they, instead of using what their teams give them, they want to go and get more even rare stuff from the City Walk. So
interesting.
Yeah, if they come to LA, shout out my boy John Marin, man. He got, I actually shouldn't be shouting people out, but shout out to him. But yeah, I love the NBA store, man. That's my favorite store in LA.
I got to check that out, man. It looks gigantic. But yeah, Lakers lose yesterday. I think the only real positives, Jackson Hayes, I give him an A yesterday. 4 for 4 from the field, 10 points. Does his job. He does his job. Dalton Connect, like I said, I'm absolutely done with Dalton Connect. 2 points, 3 rebounds, 1 block, 3 turnovers, 1 for 6 from the field. I think it's time for the Lakers to disconnect from Dalton Connect. And I think that he's completely lost and not engaged. And I think that if I'm a prospective team that's interested in him, that would be a major project, but a very disappointing start to his career. But yeah, Lakers lose yesterday, and they're still going to be right up there. But the big thing for me is that JJ Redick is starting to just not wear every single loss on his sleeves, not getting overly stressed. My man has pretty much completely gone gray with the hair in like almost 2 years. I really was encouraged by what he had to say after the game, where he was open and admitted that for the last couple of weeks, he really was on edge and he wasn't really himself, and he opened up about it. Here was JJ Redick talking about it after the game.
Yeah, we're all human beings. Like I feel like I had a really poor 7 to 10 days. I told the group that, around post cup to Christmas. Maybe it was just the gluttony of the holidays. I don't know. But, I wasn't at my best. Feel like I've found my way with the group again. And I think every player is going to go through that throughout the season. And it's something Luke and I talked about, after Christmas, and he's now been really good with all that stuff for the last 6 games.
So there you go. I think it's something that is healthy for him. I think if he has designs on being the Lakers head coach for the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be a short career if he's blowing his fuse every other game, every other possession. And look, he's got the Lakers at 23-12, 4th in the West, when they've dealt with tons of injuries. They've never really had a game where they've been 100% healthy. I know that same thing applies for a lot of teams around the league, but for the Lakers specifically, if you can get Austin Reeves, LeBron James, and Luka Doncic on the same court for an extended period of time, I think you feel pretty good about this team's chances of finishing with the top 4 seed in the Western Conference. And heading into this season, first year to have a full year with Luka Doncic and a 41-year-old LeBron, and you're trying to kind of stretch that out, I think you would have taken that if that was offered for you. And then you look at the Lakers schedule too. It's starting to lighten up again. You're starting to see more home games. Friday, they come home to take on the Milwaukee Bucks. Monday at Sacramento. And then they come home to take on the Hawks, the Hornets. They go to Portland to take on the Blazers. Then they come home to take on the Raptors, and they go to Denver. So the stretch right now is a time to get healthy, start to stack some wins, and try to stay top 4 in the West. But we are going to switch to the Dodgers. Before we do, though, let's take some comments here. Bruce Davis, salute D-Mac and Dodgers Nation family and LASR. What up, Bruce? Appreciate that. Joe MZ5. Finally, someone keeping it 100 about the Lakers and calling it like it is. Got Rosmino, Carino, Fraud Watch, D-Mac got me rolling, LOL, Bloodhound, Lil Jeff, It's one of my favorite names we've got. The Bloodhound Little Jeff goes kind of hard. We got just get Gabe Vincent off the team. Could have swore I saw two of him on the floor at the same time last night too. Scary-ish. Yeah, Gabe Vincent is a regrettable contract to say the least, and you hope that they could flip him for something that is expiring. Last night, Gabe Vincent is 6 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and the good thing is he did come back after missing 9 games. Did not look great. JJ Redick did say he was going to be limited from a minutes standpoint, but yeah, I mean, Gabe Vincent is definitely going to go down as one of the regrettable Lakers contracts in the last couple of years. I'm not putting in the Luol Deng territory or anything like that because he's played, but still, just it hasn't been a good look. Muad'Dib69, what's up, Mr. Classic? Trae Young was only a matter of time before he got moved, and finally he did. Look, I mean, kind of expand upon the Trae Young thing. Before the Anthony Davis trade, and there is some talk that the Hawks are interested in trading for Anthony Davis, which I find pretty interesting, but Trae Young felt like it could have been the best case scenario at one point for the Lakers. Like, think about how good things have gotten for this franchise. At one point, it was like, hey, maybe we can get Trae Young. Like, right? Remember that, Noel? That era. Remember, it was like maybe we can get Trae Young. Like, that was like before the Luka thing. That was like the dream for a couple weeks.
I remember he like came to a Lakers playoff game. He was kind of feeding into the narrative. He was still with Clutch at the time too, so it would have been him, LeBron, and AD. I mean, him and AD would have been pretty cool. I know that the Mavericks didn't want to pull a trigger, try to get that going, but a couple years ago, it felt like both Trae and Kyrie were trying to get on the Lakers.
Absolutely. No, it would have been like interesting, but I don't think I don't think it's a bold. Trae Young's not winning an NBA championship as the best player on his team.
Absolutely.
And I don't even think he's going to win a championship as the third best player on his team. And this is nothing against Trae Young. That's just how I feel. All right, switching to the Dodgers. Okay, let's go Dodgers right there. I love that. The Dodgers got some deals done after Dodgers Dugout Live. We did a full arbitration show earlier. I explained all the ins and outs of what arbitration is and everything that goes down in the process. They got the deal done for Brusdar Graterol yesterday, $2.8 million, which was the most predictable deal because he didn't play at all in 2024. And typically that's what happens is you get the same deal that you got, and that's what ended up happening. But the ones that we're waiting on was Brock Stewart, Alex Call, and Anthony Banda. Well, 2 of the 3 have been finalized. The Dodgers have agreed to a deal with Alex Call and Brock Stewart to avoid arbitration. Call settled at $1.6 million, and Stewart settled at $1.3 million. Man, I kind of want to pull my predictions from earlier. I think I missed on Brock Stewart. I had him at 1.7 million, and he ends up going for. No, I had Call at 1.7 million. I had Brock for under the 1.3 million. So both those guys getting around the deals that you expected them to get. And look, here's the thing. Arbitration's not exciting for a lot of fans, especially in this lull, the doldrums of the offseason. But in particular, about the Dodgers specifically, it rarely gets to arbitration. I gave you the number earlier, was digging up yesterday. In the 11 years under Andrew Friedman, since he's taken over that front office, 79 of the 87 players that are eligible for arbitration have reached an agreement by the exchange date. So that's a 90.8% rate. As I mentioned earlier, some of the notable ones, Jock Peterson and Pedro Baez in 2020. Jock Peterson lost his. He wanted $9 million, and he ended up getting $7.75 million. Pedro Baez, he won his $4 million versus $3.5 million. So pretty close from that standpoint. It gets ugly. It gets weird. The arbitrator can't go in between. It's either your number or our number, the team's number or the player's number. Like I said earlier, one of the more notable quotes that really paints a picture of how awkward and contentious really an arbitration hearing can go came from former Dodger Pedro Guerrero, who back in 1983 told reporters about his arbitration case. And this is a little extreme here, but this is what he said. I hope the jerk that made the decision, the arbitrator, dies. Okay? So we had Pedro Guerrero out here wishing death on arbitrators. That is extreme. Also, George Steinbrenner, back in 1987, he told reporters during the Don Mattingly arbitration, quote, salaries are starting to come down now, but arbitration is still the cancer of baseball. I don't know why this makes me laugh. I got a dark sense of humor, but yeah, that gives you an idea. But all right, we're still waiting on Anthony Banda. I texted him earlier trying to get some info from Anthony Banda, just seeing where he's at, and we'll see when that deal gets done. It's going to get done. He's going to be back. They're going to agree to a deal. I'd be shocked if it would go to arbitration, because you're talking about a team like the Dodgers at 1.6 million, something in that range. But we did get some new juicy Dodgers rumors since Dodgers Dugout Live. And the first one is about Bo Bichette. And I know it feels like it's Bo Nation. It's all about show Bichette because I want Bo. Bo knows baseball. Bo knows raking. I would love to see Bo Bichette be a Dodger, but not for $300 million, because that is the latest rumor about Bo Bichette, that Bo Bichette is looking for a contract in the $300 million range. MLB insider John Heyman, he reported today in his column for the New York Post that Bo Bichette's asking price is said to be around $300 million. And he's just not worth, for how many years? Maybe for 30 years? For 40 years? I don't know. Right? I mean, $300 million for that many years. My high-end prediction on Bo Bichette was $208 million on the high end on a 6 or 7 year deal. What he's asking for is premier shortstop money, but he's already made it clear to teams that he's going to be playing second base and possibly move to third base. If Bo Bichette was an average defensive shortstop, then you would consider signing him for $300 million. But Bo Bichette, by every single defensive metric, is one of the worst defensive shortstops in all of baseball. He's a minus 12 outs above average, minus 13 defensive runs saved. Every single defensive metric that you look at about Bo Bichette tells you he can't play shortstop at an above average level. That's not what he does. So for $300 million, are you out of your mind? There's no way. There is no way. Let's handicap this. I'm going to give this about a 0.00 chance of happening. Is about the same amount of the same percentage chance as the amount of Padres World Series. 0. Okay? Not in this matrix. Not now. Not in these times. So this is no slight to Bo Bichette, and we'll see where this report's coming from. I mean, I saw where Scott Boras basically made a beat writer from Forbes take back his reporting that Cody Bellinger wanted $400 million. So maybe you'll see something similar with Bo Bichette where, hey, maybe that's not going to happen. But the truth is, he's barely worth $200 million, and he is asking for $300 million. You're not going to give $30 million for a shortstop that's not good at defense, or you need to play at second base. You want shortstop money, right? But you're a second baseman. It's like an actor who wants leading man money, but he's a really good supporting cast member, right? Like, I love you, Bo Bichette. You're not Marty Supreme, okay? Let's just keep that 100. So this could be a long, drawn out free agency for Bo Bichette if he's expecting $300 million. So another nugget about Bo Bichette is that he's set to have a Zoom meeting with the Philadelphia Phillies. So a Zoom meeting with the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies are becoming more of a contender for him. So I don't know. It feels like it's stock down for Bo Bichette and the Dodgers. Now, The next rumor is about Tarik Skubal. And the Tarik Skubal rumor is pretty interesting in the sense that, one, no settlement was reached today in the Tarik Skubal salary arbitration negotiations. The two sides could still reach an agreement before an arbitration hearing later this month. But as of now, they'll reschedule a hearing. And that's from Bob Nightingale. But it was also reported that the Yankees asked the Tigers about Tarik Skubal and his availability, and they got the impression that it would, quote, take half their team. It would take half their team. Half their team. So, look, the Dodgers, they're not going to empty their farm system for 1 year of Tarik Skubal. I think it's fair to say at this point, and this is not a shot at David Pingalore for KTLA, but looking back, that rumor was pretty reckless in the sense that the word imminent was used. Because typically, when a player is involved in trade rumors, the earlier in the offseason those rumors occur, the higher the asking price is, right? It typically doesn't go from, oh, it's low and it goes high. No, it usually starts sky high and it gets lower and lower and lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. And then maybe it goes a little higher and then you make a deal. But I don't think that there was any way that the Dodgers were going to trade for Tarik Skubal in Orlando and that trade talks were imminent. So that was false. Were there conversations? Of course, because good teams with assets are always going to have their due diligence, right? Good teams that have a top farm system that are always looking to improve are going to call the Tigers. I'm sure Andrew Friedman was like, all right, let me call the Tigers up. Hey, so are you guys trading Tarik Skubal? Oh, you might. Oh, he's not untouchable? Of course, because you're not going to send him, right? No way you guys are cheap. There's no way you get him $400 million. What would it take to get him? What? You want who? And then the Tigers heard. They just heard dial tone. That was it. We want Josue Paula, Jackson Ferris, Zaire Hope, Tyler Glass now. We want the Hollywood sign and In and Out. Give us the Jackie Robinson, Sandy Koufax statue. Give us courtside seats to the Lakers game. He just hung up the phone and cut off the cord, right? That's what happened. So, I don't look. Tarik Skubal on the Dodgers would be great, but the Dodgers don't do stupid, and that would be stupid to give up, quote, half their team for 1 year of Tarik Skubal. You just don't do that. At the right price, sure, but the Dodgers get their guy at their price, and they never make desperate trades. So that is the latest for Dodgers news. Let's get some comments, and we're going to talk some Rams, talk some Mick Cronin. So upset with Mick Cronin. Empire Jeff TV, that rumor was absolutely wild, especially saying it'd be done during the winter meetings. Never bought into it. Yeah, I think, look, everyone wants to take it one step further, right? I mean, I think it would have been absolutely acceptable just to report that there were conversations between the Dodgers and the Tigers. Because I can tell you from having gone to the winter meetings for the last 4 years, you go to these hotels and these team executives are everywhere. And then at night they party. They literally drink together. And when you get drunk with people, you say things. And you probably say things that you might regret. And at the very least, you start to have conversations about the building blocks for deals. So at the very least, that's probably what happened. But absolutely, like looking back, I mean, here's the thing. It's not like, I mean, if John Heyman or John Morosi or some of these top national reporters would report that. I mean, think about this. What if Doug McCain said that, right? What if I did that? I'd probably not hear the end of it from everyone, and I'd be on fraud watch with Deandre Ayton right now, right? So that's that. But Mario Landaverdi, but what if Noel said that? What if Noel dropped that rumor? People would be like, I'm not going to like all of his reels anymore. And the moms aren't going to hope their daughters are dating him anymore. Right? I mean, no, because look, we're just talking about I was talking about the lion's share and this rumor about how the Tarik Skubal deal would take, quote, half the team.
Yeah.
So my whole logic is this. When trade talks start, the asking price starts up here and then goes down. It doesn't go down then up.
Exactly.
So for David Pinglor, the reporter, to say that it was an imminent trade would suggest that they were going to get a deal done in early December. When, if this is true, that it's the half the team now, what was it like in early December? The whole team. It was probably, hey, we want Ohtani. We want everyone, Ohtani and Freddie, and give us everything. Give us Dodger Stadium and like throw in the Lakers too. Like, so my whole thing is like looking back, I mean, it's kind of one of those things, right? Like it's, I mean, look, from a content standpoint, I'm all here for it, but got to take it with a grain of salt, right?
Facts. I agree. So many rumors.
So many rumors, man. All right, we're going to switch gears and talk some Rams. We're going to get to your comments, too, later in the show. But there was some breaking Rams news during the show that is not good. That is not good about Kevin Dotson. So Kevin Dotson, the Rams right guard, who's pivotal to their run game. His backup, Justin Dedich, has been terrible this season when he's stepped in there. And just a few minutes ago, Sean McVay said that Kevin Dotson, who's been dealing with an ankle injury because the Seahawks are dirty. I mean, the Sea Chickens, they're dirty. And Kevin Dotson's going to be out for Saturday's wild card game against the Panthers. He's making progress, but he's going to be out. Now, the Rams had one of the very best run blocking offensive linemen in the NFL for the last 20, 30, 40 years. And Kevin Dotson was the biggest part of that. He's at least a top 5 run blocking offensive lineman in football. But he's going to be out. Hey, they're still double-digit favorites, the Carolina Panthers. They're still double-digit favorites against the Panthers. They should win that game without him. And I do think that the long play here, especially if you have to go into Philly and play the Eagles, I'm thinking of Jalen Carter and how dominant he can be. You need to get Kevin Dotson at 100%. By the way, you're going to love this, Rob. You know what his nickname is?
What's that?
It's K-Dot.
It's
K-Dot. That goes hard. Yeah, love that, man. That's a banger of a nickname. But speaking of the Rams, tonight you got Fernando Mendoza, Indiana, going up against Oregon. And I saw someone post a picture of Fernando Mendoza in a Rams uniform, saying that could Sean McVay go all in on Fernando Mendoza? He played college ball at Cal. Then he went to Indiana. He won the Heisman Trophy. I mean, Fernando Mendoza, if you've seen his post-game press conferences, it's just pure gold. It's absolutely pure gold. It's like, no one thought we could do this. Now we're flipping Big Ten champs. Like, I saw a funny tweet that said that Fernando Mendoza looks like he's the first athlete to use ChatGPT in full time. We got some breaking news from Noel, though.
$1.6 million, avoid arbitration.
Hey, guys, I'm not trying to play it off like I knew it, but I said 10 minutes ago that he would sign for $1.6 million. So Anthony Bonda, Alex Call, Brock Stewart, Bruce Dark-Gratterall, all agreeing to deals, all avoiding arbitration. And now all of the ladies in Los Angeles can take a deep breath. All the ladies here in LA, Bonda's back. Bitty Bonda, he's back. And he was never going to go away anyway, but still, I mean, you got a deal done. It's minimal stuff. So yeah, going back to Fernando Mendoza though. Look, the Rams, you have the number 13 pick in the draft. After they trade out of the first round last year, they gave their first round pick to the Falcons. They were set to pick at 26. The Falcons wanted James Pierce, the lineman, the defensive edge out of Tennessee. They get their guy. James Pierce finished with a really strong finish to the season, so it works out for them. But the Rams are going to have 2 first-round picks already, 13 and wherever they end up. And then you got future first-round picks. And Mendoza's really good. Is Mendoza going to be an elite pro quarterback? That's kind of the big question. I think that he's got a lot of tools. I think he's got the it factor. I think from a mental preparation standpoint, Fernando Mendoza is very interesting. But is he worth giving up 2 future first-round picks to give up 3 first-round picks? I think the comp you saw what the Dolphins were trying to give up for Joe Burrow in 2020. But I don't know. He doesn't feel like an LA Rams quarterback to me. And I love Fernando Mendoza. I think he's going to be the best-selling Raiders jersey in a long time. That's where he's projected to go right now. He's a really interesting guy. They asked him yesterday at the pregame Peach Bowl presser what his favorite pregame hype song was. And he said that, I honestly don't listen to hype songs because I have to stay cool, calm, and collected. I actually meditate and pray before the game. I think praying in a way is meditation to help myself and my thoughts. And you know, he's not a pregame hype song guy. He does sound like he uses Chat GPT in real time during his post-game interviews. I think he's genuine. I think he's authentic. I'm not Fernando Mendoza's cringe. I think it works for him because I think that it is authentic to him. But if I'm the Rams, my quarterback future is either another year of Matthew Stafford, who is the odds-on favorite once again to win MVP. If you didn't go back and watch my interview with my man Jake Ellenbogen, we broke that all the way down early in the week. But if Matthew Stafford's going to continue his football career, it's going to be with the Los Angeles Rams. The only scenario where Matthew Stafford is not the quarterback next year would be if he wins the MVP, the Rams win the Super Bowl, and he decides, you know what? I'm a first ballot Hall of Famer potentially. I'm guaranteed a Hall of Fame spot. My legacy is cemented. He's already been one of the most underrated quarterbacks in NFL history because he played with the Detroit Lions. Yeah, the Detroit Lions, one of the worst franchises in professional sports. He really helped turn them around because they got Jared Goff, they got Matt Campbell, and they started to turn their franchise around. But that, make no mistake about it, the Detroit Lions, they're basically, I mean, at one point, they're kind of, I want to call them as bad as the Clippers or the Hornets in the NBA, but they're one of the worst playoff teams, one of the worst franchises in the NFL. I mean, when you think about that, when you think about how many of their playoff record, I mean, it's since 1957, they have exactly 1, 2, 3 wins in the playoffs since 1957. That is pretty wild. I mean, JFK has only missed 3 Lions playoff wins. What do you think about it? I mean, it's kind of insane how bad they've been as a franchise, but I think Matthew Stafford's back. But if I'm the Rams, the one guy that I would consider blowing it all for would be Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, if he wanted to force his way out of Cincinnati, if he wanted to make it known to their front office that he wasn't happy there and that it was time to make a change. If the Bengals were serious about a down-to-the-studs rebuild and trying to accumulate picks and getting 4 or 5 first-round picks, he's the guy that you would want to empty the war chest for. And even then, there's some talk that for Joe Burrow to get him, you would have to give up a Ricky Williams trade that the Saints gave up to get Ricky Williams. And that was the most insane trade, really, as far as draft capital goes, that we've ever seen. I mean, if you're the Rams, you can definitely look at what you have asset-wise, but look at Ricky Williams. This is the most insane trade. The Ricky Williams trade, they basically gave their entire 1999 draft and their 2000 first and third round picks to the Washington, now called the Commanders. Not going to cancel me. But Ricky Williams was traded for a first, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh in 1999, and then a first and a third in 2000. So, yeah, that is the King's ransom of all King's ransoms. But Joe Burrow, to me, feels like a Rams quarterback. I feel like he's got that star power. He's still really in the prime of his career. Joe Burrow's age, he doesn't turn 30 until December 10th. He turned 29 December 10th. And I look, too, at Matthew Stafford when he was rotting away in Detroit all those years. When he came to Los Angeles Rams and he won that Super Bowl in his first year, it looked like he was still well in his prime, and he didn't get to LA until he was 33. So if you get Joe Burrow 30, 31 years old, even though I think it's really unlikely just because it's very difficult to trade for franchise quarterbacks, those guys just do not get moved like that. That would be the guy. That would be the guy. He looks like Conrad from The Summer I Turned Pretty. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen the show, but I've seen like Conrad going viral. I think he looks like a young Leo, but Joe Burrow.
No, yeah, I said Leo too a little bit. No, he looks like Kevin McAllister.
Kevin McAllister,
you know, who Hey Sung Kim thinks look like Clayton Kershaw. But yeah, some people think he looks like Conrad from The Summer I Turned Pretty. I've never seen The Summer I Turned Pretty, but I'm definitely Team Conrad. And I think what Belly did in season 3 at the beginning with Jeremiah and that love triangle was a little ridiculous. They went to cousin. Okay, I've seen it twice because my wife.
No, I think. A healthy Joe Burrow in LA would be pretty fun.
Oh, it would be
pretty fun.
That would be a jersey that would move off the racks. But Fernando Mendoza, it's interesting. He at least feels like something big, potentially. And he's kind of got that magnetic personality. But all right, last topic today. We're going to probably stretch this one out tomorrow because I could do like a 4-hour show on this one. But Mick Cronin, it's starting to look like it's the beginning of the end for Mick Cronin in UCLA. And our producer, Robert, did an incredible job. I get a lot of you guys out there DMing me that you love our intro for this show. And of course, when we get to Mick Cronin, we say, Mick Cronin's got to win a national championship at UCLA. I don't think he's going to win a national championship at UCLA. As a proud Bruin, this pains me to say this, because it looked like Mick Cronin was going to hang the 12th banner. He took that UCLA team in 2021 from a team that was in the last 4 to the final 4. And if it weren't for Jalen Suggs, that was the saddest moment of my sports rooting life. At least one of them. Could throw some Dodgers moments in there for sure. But when Jalen Suggs hit that shot for Gonzaga in the final 4, that changed the course of history for Mick Cronin, because that would have been a tough national championship game being Baylor. But it looked like Mick Cronin was going to be the Wizard of Westwood 2.0 because of how tough that team played. You thought, hey, you give Mick Cronin UCLA level recruits and he's going to be able to make them a perennial national championship contender. But the truth is, UCLA, even though they have more national championships than any college program, they're really the 3rd best basketball program on the West Coast now. Arizona could cut down the next. Gonzaga has been better than them for quite some time. And the issue with Mick Cronin is he's a bad evaluator of talent. A couple years ago, he went with this European experiment, Adai Mara, guys like that, and it was a complete bust. And this last couple of seasons, I can tell you from my own personal sources, UCLA is right up there with Kansas and Kentucky and all of the big NIL schools. He has a top 6 to 10 budget, has been given the money. He wanted Donovan Dent, who was the player of the year last year for New Mexico. He wanted him. They gave him $3 to $4 million. They got him Donovan Dent. Donovan Dent has been a bust. It's a cautionary tale for NIL. They wanted Tyler Bilodeau. They went out and got Tyler Bilodeau. The issue with Mick Cronin, and I can tell you from just talking to some of the old scouts I used to work with at 24/7 Sports when I used to cover UCLA basketball. One of my good friends, Neil Nieves, told me like they do not want to play for Mick Cronin because the development on the offensive side, it limits players, and he wants ball control. He wants to create turnovers, but all the 5 stars that UCLA used to get, like my favorite thing about watching UCLA basketball was like, hey man, if we're not going to win a national title, at least I'm going to have fun watching some of these 5-star recruits, even though it was Shabazz Muhammad, who was 45 years old when he was at UCLA, when he lied about his age, or Zach LaVine, or Kyle Anderson, or Norman Powell still balling in the league, or Russell Westbrook, Drew Holiday,
Amari Bailey.
And here's the thing about Amari Bailey. That's a good example. Is Amari Bailey was a Steve Alford commit, right? And a lot of these guys really have not panned out. And here's the big issue. And we'll continue the UCLA conversation. Is UCLA AD Martin Jarmond signed Mick Cronin to a contract extension without it even being reported by any news outlet. The LA Times didn't report it. UCLA didn't have a press release for it. And this contract extension has a $22 million buyout. That's from my sources talking about what has to be done to move on from Mick Cronin. So that is where they're at. They really are in a tough place. And they just made a great hire with Bob Chesney. And I hope that Mick Cronin can figure things out. I would love to be proven wrong. But right now, it just feels like this team that was preseason top 20, you look at the Big Ten, they continue to get dominated. You look at where UCLA is and Pauley Pavilion, and this is no slight to the women's basketball team, but the women's basketball program has outdrew UCLA men's basketball by over 4,000 fans this season. I mean, think about how wild that is. I mean, in the 90s, earlier than that, when Kevin Love was there, even when I was there, Pauley was still selling out when they were winning some games against ranked opponents. But I think for the rest of the season at Pauley Pavilion, you're going to see an empty Pauley, a UCLA fan base that is more excited about football than basketball because of the hire of Bob Chesney. And look, Mick Cronin, he wants UCLA to be great, and he loves UCLA. He understands the culture and the tradition. But at the end of the day, this is year 7, and he hasn't made it past the Sweet 16 with his own recruits. When he made it to the Final Four, that was with a lot of Steve Alford recruits. Jaime Hawkins went crazy. Johnny Juzang was his recruit, but still, yeah. Prove me wrong, Mick, I guess, is what I'll say. But let's read some comments here, and we'll get out. I'm going to do my Dream UCLA starting 5 next show, but we're running out of time here. Mr. Classic, UCLA is exactly like the Lakers, thinks they have enough, but really don't. Interesting. I mean, interesting. I think that UCLA basketball is really turning into Notre Dame football. It's like a relic of the past, where if you did win one more national championship in the modern era, I mean, they made the Final Four in 2021. You had 3 straight Final Fours with Russ and Kevin Love and Aaron Aflalo in that group, but you got to win a national championship. Last national championship was in 1995. We're basically the 49ers of college basketball. We're the Dallas Cowboys of college basketball, right? Last time UCLA won a national championship, ER was the biggest show in Friends and Seinfeld. Like, I don't want that anymore. Like, they have to win the modern era. We got Ruben, if UCLA fires Mick, then who would be a good replacement? So that's a really good question. I mean, honestly, I'll tell you a coach I really like, who I wish they had hired, who I pushed for, was Fred Hoiberg at Nebraska. I think Nebraska like 15-0 in the big. He's got them undefeated. Former NBA player. My big fear is that Martin Jarmond would just hire Earl Watson. That scares me, but it does get to the point where I'm just kind of like anything but. I just feel like, look, when you watch a coach, that is a dead man walking, you can kind of feel it. And you got to start the process. I mean, if you asked me who I wanted to see as the UCLA football coach after Deshaun Foster got fired, I guarantee you I wasn't going to say Bob Chesney. And ask anyone in the college football world, people think that Bob Chesney is one of the best hires that any college program has made in the last couple of years. So you got to just start the process. But Muad'Dib69, popular opinion, my boy Jerry Neuheisel was passed over for head coach. Jerry Neuheisel will be the head coach at UCLA one day for football, but he has to earn his stripes at another program. He went to Northwestern. He's going to be with Chip Kelly. I want to see him have success outside of UCLA, and then you come back. But they're not doing the homegrown thing. They're not doing that lazy thing where just because you have some UCLA connection, you get a job there. Justin Lamas, Big Ten not working out for UCLA, LMFAO. I disagree with that because the truth is the money's there. And I'm not going to, pump my chest about UCLA football yet, but a lot has changed in the last couple of months. But, you could say about Oregon. You could say that about USC. Oregon, I think, is the best example for football, but for basketball, hasn't been easy. We got BC. I didn't expect Dotson to play. I was hearing that he was going to give it a go early in the week, but I think that they think they can beat the Panthers without him, and they want him healthy in the event that they play the Eagles. Jalen Carter, he keeps me up at night. You saw him manhandle Dotson when they blocked that field goal earlier in the year when they pulled off that upset. We've got Sammy Boy Smith. Bo will just stay in Toronto on a 1-year deal then. He's not going back to Toronto. I don't think so. Oh, the Dodgers, their first their road series, they're going up to that's going to be super lit. Yeah, maybe we'll go out there to cover that. That'd be kind of wild. Bruce Davis, I'd pay for Skubal. He's a true ace. I'm in. So you'd pay. Okay. Mario Landavari, Bichette smoking with Bellinger. I like that. That's a combo show. Bilal says the highest paid pitchers in Major League Baseball, not named Shohei, makes $42 million. Wheeler. Okay, you're breaking that down. Like it. Los Dodgers, I'd rather have Skubal than either one and give Ward a chance. I'm in on Ryan Ward. I'm trying to get him on the show. But it's a totally different thing there. Our rotation right now is just fine without Skubal, Mr. Classic. So that's Trey Turner and Bo Bichette, shortstop and second base. Yeah, look, Trey Turner's defense actually has gotten better, not worse, in the last couple of years, which is pretty interesting. Usually it trends the opposite direction. But all right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the LA Sports Report. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. Big shout out to producer Robert and Noel. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. And remember that LA is the city of champions.